B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. We are on page Yud Aleph, 11a, the top of the Amud. To review, we said in the Mishnah, there's a dispute between Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. Bet Shammai says, at night, when you say the Shema, because the Torah says, say Shema, B'shoch becha, when you want to sleep and when you want to get up. Bet Hillel says, this is only teaching you the time. What time of the day should you say Shema? At night time. Mm-hmm. What time should you say the Shema? At morning time. But it doesn't mean physically you need to be laying down. Bet Shammai argues. He says it's teaching you both. Bet Shammai holds that just like you say Shema at night, you would also lay down. You're not allowed to say standing up. In the morning, when you get up, then you have to say Shema.
Got it. So you can't.
Getting up. Okay, so now we're going to do the Gemara. First line. Gemara says, Bli shleima bet Hillel kamifarshi tamayu b'tayim with Bet Shammai. So Bet Hillel explains their reasoning, like we just reviewed, and the reasoning of Bet Shammai. Ela Bet Shammai mata lo amar ke Bet Hillel. Because Bet Hillel says, listen, the reason why I argue on you, Bet Hillel says, the Torah does not mandate you to lie down or stand up. You could say Shema in the morning and night any way you want. You could walk and say it. You could sit and say it. It's just telling you the time frame of when you have to say it, not how physically you should be situated. So, because Bet Hillel says, the Torah says, Belechtach v'derech, say while you're going. So that shows you that you don't have to necessarily be lying down or standing up or sitting, right?
So you can do it everywhere.
So, but why does Bet Shammai not agree to Bet Hillel? What's their reasoning? Gemara, second of the line, Amar lecha Bet Shammai imken nemakra baboker uve'erev. Because Bet Shammai says if the Torah wasn't specific about you should lie down or stand up, the Torah should say it in the morning and evening. Why does it say b'shoch bechav kumecha when you sleep? So Bet Shammai says it's not only telling you the time frame, but it's telling you even how you should position your body. At night, you should be in a sleeping position and a lying down position when you say Shema.
So you can be in the bed then?
Yeah, or in the bed or sitting, like when you want to sleep. And in the morning, you should say it standing up. So Bet Shammai says, mamash, specifically, you have to be at night, you have to be in a sleeping, lying down position, because the Torah is also mandating you not when you should only say it, but how you should say it. You should be saying it in a position of lying down, because you're about to go to sleep, and a position of standing up, because you're getting up in the morning. So it's mamash.
Mamash means specific?
Yeah, specifically. Ubet Shammai hay v'lechtecha v'derech mai avid lehu. But Bet Hillel says no. The Torah says, say these words while you're walking. So they say it doesn't matter how you're standing or sitting. In the morning, you could lie down, sit down and say it. In the night, you could stand up and say it. Because it says you walk, right? When you walk. So what does Bet Shammai learn from Uvelechtacha Baderech, the walking part? Mibaylehu leketatanya. We're at the asterisk in the Gemara. Beshivta uvetecha. Prat leosek b'mitzvah. We learn in a Braita, it says, when you sit on your way and go on your way. But let's say, my dear friend, you're going to save somebody's life. And if you get there a second late, the guy's going to be... You see what's going on in Iran. You know, there's some people, they have no respect for human life.
Nope.
So you have to go save the guy's life, give like $1 million or $1,000 to save the guy's life. You don't have to say Shema that day. You know that? Because you're not going, B'shoch bechav kumecha. When do you need to say Shema? When you are doing your own personal business. But if there's a bigger mitzvah than Shema, you're already involved in Shema, in another mitzvah. For example, the ultimate mitzvah is to save somebody's life. Then don't delay the mitzvah, because God says when you do a mitzvah, all your mind and soul should be in that mitzvah. So once you're already going towards that mitzvah, all other mitzvahs It's called osek b'mitzvah, patur min mitzvah. You understand? When you're involved in mitzvah, you get absolved from what? Other mitzvahs. And belech derech is saying, when you go in your way, it's coming to absolve the chatan. Did you know the first night of marriage, the boy's a virgin, so he's very worried how he's going to do the first mitzvah of the Torah, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So he's so worried he doesn't have to say Shema.
That's the only time it's obligated.
Yeah, no, because it says he's not going to be, when he says God's name in the Shema, he's not going to be able to have the proper devotion and intention. So it says he's doing the first mitzvah of the Torah will absolve him and exempt him from the mitzvah of Shema. And this is actually the halacha. We're going to talk about what the Shulchan Aruch says about this. And from here we learn, Mikan Amru, Hakones et betula patur vet ha'almona chayav. Somebody that's going to marry a virgin woman, if he was not able to perform the first 3 nights of marriage and consummate his marriage, the first 3 nights, but this is not a practical halacha. This was only halacha for 2,000 years ago. I'll read for you, because in this class we try to bring out the practical Jewish law, not just the theoretical law. The Shulchan Aruch says originally used to be the first 3 nights, if he wasn't able to perform, he would be absolved from the mitzvah of Shema. But nowadays, the Shulchan Aruch says, since even regular people, our concentration has become so unfocused that anyways this halacha doesn't apply. Basically any groom, chatan, on the day of his wedding still needs to say Shema nowadays. Because even if he wasn't a groom, he wouldn't have so much intention. Gemara says, "My mashma." How do you learn this from here? Amar Rav Papa ki derech, my derech reshut av kol reshut. The only time you have to say Shema is if you're going on your way. Do you have to go to the market? No. But if you go on God's mission, then you don't need to pray. You don't need to say Shema. Just get that mitzvah of, like, for example, saving somebody's life. Mim lo askinan dekazel ledvar mitzvah. Gemara says maybe this is wrong. Maybe the case is you're going not for your personal matter. You're going for a mitzvah, and still you have to say the Shema. Va'afilu hachi amar Rachmana likri. Rachmana means God, because God is the more merciful.
Yeah.
Gemara says in the beginning of the line, Im ken lichtov Rachmana b'shevet uvelechet. My b'shoch becha uvkumecha. The Torah says say when you sit down or go. Why does it say when you go on your own mission? B'shevet didach uvelechtecha didach. Your personal sitting and your personal going to run an errand. That's when you need to say Shema. But once you're involved in another mitzvah, for example, the greatest classical example of osek b'mitzvah patur min mitzvah, you know what it is? If somebody's parent died, they don't need to do any mitzvah. They need to make their number one priority to bury their loved one. That God says once you are putting 110% of your focus in giving dignity and the final honor to your loved one to bury them, then I don't want anything else from you. You don't need to do prayer. You don't need to do... We're going to see even later, you don't need to do tefillin.
If something has mishalom.
Yeah. Bivachna Moshe. Gemara says, had mitzvah peturat. So when you're doing a mitzvah, you're absolved. Gemara says, why is it only if you marry a virgin that you don't have to say the Shema? Even if you marry a divorcee or a widow. Gemara says, Hai tarid v'hai lo tarid. He says, somebody that both the boy's a virgin and the girl's a virgin, they don't know how to do...
Yeah.
Perform in the bed, so they're both worried. But when a woman that's already been married, she's a widow, the chatan is not worried about her. You understand? Rashi says it's not something that's going to make him anxious because she's already had a husband. Gemara says, if the worry here is that because the person is his mind is 100% occupied, so let's say if you get news that your ship is sinking in the ocean, maybe you should also be exempt from saying Shema. Gemara says, if you say that so, why does it say that a person that's a mourner, that his beloved died, he has to do all the mitzvahs? Just tefillin he doesn't need to do. This is after the burial. Shareh ne'emar pe'er, because tefillin is like a crown. And this day you're in ashes, right? You just came back from the burial of a loved one. Rahman al-Islan. So it says, Shene'emar pe'er chavush alecha. God tells the prophet Yecheskel that hide your crown of glory. So Gemara answers, Hatam taret tirda the mitzvah, hachat tarda tirda the reshut. There's two elements. If you're worried, you're very preoccupied about a mitzvah, then the Torah says you don't need to do any other mitzvahs. Just finish this mitzvah off. So there's two elements you need. Mitzvah, and this mitzvah is making you very anxious and nervous and, worried. But if it's just worried, no. Just because the stock market, you lost $1 million, you still have to do all the mitzvahs because you're missing that element of mitzvah. It's just you're anxious.
Right.
So Gemara says, Hatam taratir the mitzvah, there it's a worry, anxiousness of a mitzvah. Now, by the sinking of the ship, it's voluntarily you're anxious, not because God wanted to you. Bet Shammai says, Haumi baile prat l'shluchei mitzvah. Bet Shammai says, no. From that, I learned something else. That a person like that I told you is sent to save somebody's life before they execute him, he doesn't need to do a mitzvah. Ubet Hillel amri mimela shmina lalo. Afilu b'derech namikir. But Hillel says that's elementary. Once I said b'shiftecha v'techa, that's elementary. That a person that's sent on a very important mission of mitzvah, he doesn't have to do the Shema. Because Rashi says, "Ubet Hillel amrincha nehina midekra lemidrash minei prat lechatan." Ata shma mina mimela shma mina belechet didach hudechet alma b'derech nami kari. Yeah, I mean that's everything is compared to a groom. Just because a groom is doing a mitzvah, but if you're going on your private mission, you also would have to say Shema. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give them a Gemara. It says, Tanu Rabbanan bet Hillel omrim, omdim v'korin, yoshvin korin, matin v'korin, holchin b'derech v'korin, osim belachtam v'korin. Bet Hillel says you could say the Shema any random way you want. You could stand and say it, you could sit and say it, you could lie down and say it, you could walk and say it, you could work and say it. But halachically, when you say Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto and Shema, that you shouldn't walk. That you could stand, but you shouldn't be walking because you need a lot of kavanah.
What about when you're sleeping or when you're resting?
When you're sleeping and resting, halachically, it's better not to. It's better. Our halacha is you're allowed to say sitting or standing, but lying down. For sure, on your back and on your stomach, you're not allowed to. If you're tired, you could do it on your side, but it's better to sit down because it's more respect to the mitzvah. It says, it's actually a story with Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Lazar that they were sitting in a gathering, Vaya Rabbi Ishmael moteh. Rabbi Ishmael was like lying down. Like in the olden days, they used to have like these like long sofa couches, and they used to eat like the night of Passover. You know how we lean?
Yeah.
They would do that. And Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah was standing, zokef. Kevan shegia zman kriyat Shema. So when the time of Shema came, it came nighttime. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah zakaf. I'm sorry. Hita Rabbi Lazar, v'zakaf Rabbi Ishmael. So Rabbi Lazar went down and leaned and said the Shema on the sofa. And Rabbi Ishmael that was leaning standed up. So Rabbi Lazar questioned him. Amar lo Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah Rabbi Ishmael. Yishmael achi, Yishmael my brother. Emshol lecha mashal. I'll give a parable to you. Lama hadavar domeh. Mashal lecha shomrim lo zekanecha megudal. They say somebody, you have a beautiful beard. What does he do? He goes and cuts off the beard. Amar lehem yeneked hamashchitim. He says, oh, okay, now that you said it's nice to go against you, I'll shave off my beard. Af kenata. Kozman shani zokef ata moteh. Avshav shkani etati ata zakafta. He says, you're doing the opposite of me. When I'm lying down, you're standing up. When I come to stand up, you do the opposite of me. He says, when I was lying down, you stood up. When I came to lie down, now you stood up. Why are you doing the opposite of me? Amar lo ani asiti kidve bet Hillel. He says, because I'm following the halacha. Remember, I said this in a previous time. 99.9% of the time, halacha is always like who? Bet Hillel, because they were majority. They had the bigger yeshiva, and they were more humble. So he says, Rabbi Ishmael was defending himself. He said, you know what? I'm following the halacha. And you're following, you're following the minority opinion. Like we said a few pages before, what do you gain more? Learning from your rabbi or serving your rabbi? Being in his presence, in his house. So he says, if people see that at night I went and laid down, they're going to think halacha is like who? Bet Shammai. And then they're going to, I'm a sterling living example of the Torah. So I have to make sure that at night I stand up so they don't get the wrong impression. Gemara says, my velo'od. Gemara says, what does it mean velo'od? What did Rabbi Ishmael have to add that sentence to his argument? Gemara says, "V'chitem bet Hillel nami et leumatin, hani mili demateva ati meikara." You may argue that Bet Hillel says, well, you could say Shema at morning and night any way you want, any random way you want. But Rabbi Ishmael comes to teach us a hidush. In the morning or at night, you're allowed to sing it lying down. That's only if you're specifically what? Lying down. But if you were standing at night, you go lie down, that's showing that you specifically are following the train of thought of who? Bet Shammai. Because if you're standing, then keep on standing. So that's what Rabbi Shmuel was saying. People may infer that you're. So it says the halacha is like Bet Shammai. Savira lehu. Shema yiru talmidim v'kol dorot. So that's why Rabbi Shmuel, even though at night he specifically, what did Rabbi Shmuel do? It says, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah zakuf kevan shegia ket shema hitev Rabbi Shmuel. So he says, if we look in the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel was sitting, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah was standing. So the reason why Rabbi Shmuel went out of his way to stand was because he didn't want the people to have the impression that halacha is like Bet Shammai. That's why he specifically rose. So it says, Tanya, Rabbi Yecheskel asa kebet Shammai asa kedivrei Bet Hillel asa. Rabbi Yecheskel says the halacha, you could follow each opinion you want. Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel, but halacha is like Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says no. Rabbi Yosef amar asa kedivrei Bet Shammai lo asa velo klum. He says it's wrong to follow Bet Shammai, which means if at night you were already sitting, you could sit and say Shema. But if at night you were standing, you shouldn't go ahead and specifically lay down and say Shema. Ditnan, because we learn, and the Shulchan Aruch paskins this way. He says somebody that leaves the words of Bet Hillel and goes and follows Bet Shammai is an avaryan.
What is that?
Avaryan is like somebody that's a rebellier. Because we always have to follow the halachic authority of the majority. Majority rules. Wide lines. Ditnan, Misha Yaro Shoverubo Besuka Veshulchan Betoch Habayit, Bet Shammai Poslin uBet Hillel Machshirin. Another dispute of Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel is let's say you and most of your body is located in the sukkah, but your table is outside the sukkah. Because 7 days of sukkah, you have to eat and sleep in the sukkah.
Yeah.
Bet Hillel says that's acceptable. Let's say you have a tiny sukkah. We don't care if your table is outside. We care that you're inside.
Right.
And you're eating inside. If the table that your food is placed on is outside, that's fine. Bet Shammai says no, everything has to be inside. So Bet Shammai poslin, Bet Hillel machshirin. Amra lahem Bet Hillel Bet Shammai maaseh shalchu ziknei Bet Shammai Bet Hillel lekeret Rabbi Yochanan ben Hachuranit. Bet Hillel says, why do you say that that's not acceptable sukkah? The elders of the house of Shammai went to visit Rabbi Yochanan Chunanit. Matzu shaya rosho verubo besukkah v'shulchanav betoch habayit v'lo amru v'lo midi. And actually, Rabbi Yochanan had himself and his body placed in the sukkah, but his table was outside. It wasn't under the roof of the sukkah. And Bet Shammai didn't chastise him and reprimand him and say, oh, you're not doing the mitzvah the right way. Amar lahem misham raya avhem amru lo im ken haiti noeg lo kiyamta mitzvat sukkah miyamecha. He says, no, I beg to differ. Bet Shammai reprimanded him and said, if this is the way you did the mitzvah of sukkah, that you didn't bring your table also under the roof of the sukkah, you never did the mitzvah properly. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak amar asa kedivrei Bet Shammai chayav mita. Oh my goodness. Rabbi Nachman says that if you do like Bet Shammai, you're liable for death.
Oh my gosh.
Ditnan amar Rabbi Tarfon haiti ba baderech v'itati likrot kedivrei Bet Shammai v'sakanti atzmi b'fnei alistim. Because it says in the Mishnah on the previous page that Rabbi Tarfon wanted to be strict in his own eyes and follow Bet Shammai, and he got held up. He got mobbed. He got mugged. I apologize. He got mugged. Because the people saw like this guy with all this money sitting on the floor.
He was a lazy coin.
So it says and the rabbi said, you deserved it. Because why did you go down and sit? Bet Hillel says you could stand and say it at night. So he says from here you see that since the rabbis told Rabbi Tazar, they told Rabbi Tarfon, you got what you deserve, that somebody that follows Bet Shammai is a no-no.
So that's why the majority voted opposed on it. So
it says, they said you deserve to get punished because you went against the majority, Bet Hillel. Next Mishnah. Okay, I just wanted to say one halacha. A lot of people don't know. This is actually the halacha. The Shulchan Aruch says that if, God forbid, bivach nabash, it shouldn't be untimely, but a person that's a mourner of ill, he does not put on tefillin. Even if the person passed away at night and they buried him during the day, that would be the same halacha. Because Jewish night, the day always follows what? The night before. So, says, למחרת יום הכיפור כגון שנקבר המת ביום ראשון קודם השקיעה, ביום שני בבוקר ישתדל להמתין ולא. So, It says as long as the person was buried and passed away on the same day, you would not put tefillin, even after you came back from the graveyard. Even if you came back from the graveyard, you would not put tefillin. It says, "Va'afilu im met balayla v'nikbar balayla kol yom hamacheret nichshav keyom hamita." למחרת יום הקבורה כגון שנקבר המת ביום ראשון קודם השקיעה ביום שני בבוקר ישתדל. So it says, but the halacha is, if, I'm reading from Rav Pinchasi's book, אם הקבורה לא הייתה ביום המיטה אלא למחרת, let's say they buried the person after, the day after of the קבורה. כגון שמת ביום ראשון ונקבר בליל שני, because the person passed away in the day and they buried him at night. And the night doesn't follow the previous day, right? Because it's a new time. So in this case, there's a machloket. The day after, when they bury him, it's you should put tefillin private without a bracha. Okay, next page.